Hey guys, today started out as a range day. After the open, we closed the gap and started heading upwards toward the top of our range. I almost got into this first setup marked as a second entry short and a triple test, but the candle bar closed above the EMA, so I decided to hold off on that one. Then I found a second entry long setup, but I didn't really like the way that the candle closed. And another second entry long formed with a small risk, but once again I didn't like the way the candle closed. So I was thinking of entering this next bar, but it never triggered, and prices came back down and ended up forming a double trap, as Thomas Wade likes to call them. It's pretty much a third entry. This bar is very bullish and we're confirming the support with multiple tests. I'm just going to consider this a second entry long since we can visually see two legs and it's easier to record in my stats. I noticed myself doing this quite a bit. The setup looks like it's going to form perfectly at first, and then you get kind of married to the idea that you're going to enter. So by the time you do enter, after 3 bars of trying to enter, you don't really see it with a clear lens. This was way too congested in hindsight. I wanted to bring this trade up because it was the best trade I saw today, and it's a great reminder to you guys and myself that there will be at least one trade a day that you're confident in. Anytime you enter a trade, it's always a little stressful because you're making a decision that will impact your trading stats and the money you earn. I found it to be a lot less stressful if you take a loss on a very good setup versus taking a loss on a decent setup. If you take losses on a very good setup that you're confident in, it's easier to brush it off in my opinion because you know losses are part of the game. And if you take the same caliber of setup many times, you're going to be producing a lot of profit. It is more stressful taking a decent setup because, well, for one, I'm only allowing myself one trade a day, so win or lose, I'll be forced to skip out on a high probability setup if I decide to go with a mediocre setup. So we have this big downtrend that we're not 100% confident in, but it's drawn to help us generate a bias. Once we start seeing it head down aggressively and form a short-term downtrend, it's like the chart is telling us we are going to make a new low of this big downtrend. Given this information, I originally had the short-term downtrend a little more narrow with a break in new low, but I decided to widen it since we're expecting a new low of the big downtrend. The second entry short formed almost perfectly. In real time, if I wasn't stressed and if I was feeling fresh, I probably would have skipped it because the bar didn't form good enough for me. This lower high was the setup of the day. You have plenty of room to get a new low of the short-term downtrend, and you have the bias of the wide downtrend expecting a new low as well. In a perfect world, I would have waited on this trade. That's something that I'm learning now that I only allow myself one trade a day. I hope y'all had a good day. See you next time.